Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper One. I want to bring you just one boots on the ground report. It is from a correctional officer, and I have dealt with this person for a while. They've sent me a lot of good information. So let's get right into it, what they say. They also said, I've been a prepper for almost 20 years, but I have never felt the urgency to complete the side projects as quickly as possible like I do these days. We could be living in more biblical times. I'm still at the unit. They say, at this unit, I'm considered an OG, an original guard, and my inmates are respectful of that. I reciprocate that respect to the old school or OG, original gangsters. Um, all of us OGs are concerned for our unit, so that would be prisoners and guards. Our snitches are more concerned for their safety from those under the influence, and that's of drugs, than they are of being, found out as a snitch. You know how bad it is when the OGs on both sides are working together to keep the unit a little safer. Higher up are trying hard to turn our unit into a max unit. They're transferring class 4 inmates to us hand over fist. More than a few fights have broken out from the class 4, stealing from or beating elderly OG inmates, not to mention the punks that steal or beat the inmates who are dying from cancer. It is really bad. There is no honor among the new block kids. They are flat evil. Inside these walls, where 100% experience, the heart of men have grown cold. We are now required to wear stab vests. However, the uh, thing about these is that they do not fit right. And the strongest thing on them is the Velcro. Many staff look like they're wearing a cropped tank top corset. It protects nothing, but it restricts the full body motion by around 30%. Um, they say what it does do, however, it places a hard target smack dab in the center of the officer's carotid or femoral arteries. These newer, greener inmates feel like we've upped the ante, so they should too. We had one officer assault where the inmate went for the throat with a sharpened plastic disposable razor handle. He utilized his state issue razor as a shank. The only thing stopping a full scale flood of serious dirtbags in the unit right now is our lack of a tower. Along with the changing unit dynamics of nothing to lose inmates versus I want to go home inmates is absolutely the huge amount of drugs that's being introduced. When I first started working here, there was no drugs getting into the prison system. As I last wrote 2 months ago, every and any drug available on the street is available here, including cocaine and fentanyl. A couple weeks ago, it became necessary to call in our emergency response team, and they brought the dogs in. Picture 50 or so no nonsense dudes descending on a mission. It was greatness. Our unit has received a really big drop of K2. Over 25 inmates were found under the influence. Several were found unresponsive. Several were seizing and had Narcan used against them. It was a really bad night. But here's the kicker. We had got in a fresh graduated class of new officers, and the drop was brought in by a dirtbag officer. And she isn't the first one that was caught. There's at least 4 more that we are currently watching. I can't imagine being so financially desperate as to get a job at a penitentiary in order to sell drugs, but there it is. These new officers absolutely know the consequences if they get caught. It's drilled into their head during training and every shift briefing by our lieutenants, captains, and wardens. It is beaten like a dead horse, and they are still doing it. So all that is to say, people are desperate or crazy or addicted. Drugs are rampant. I know what is available in the penitentiary and 100% floored at who all is using. It absolutely blows my mind at what is available. So this is from a correctional officer that's been doing their job for a long time. And every time I get a report from them, things are getting worse. So it sounds like no control. I pray for these people's safety. To me, they do Terrible job. I would not be locked in prison with a bunch of criminals for no amount of money. I would not like to be behind those bars. So pray for our corrections officers. Um, what will happen in a worst case event? Just imagine an EMP event. If it takes out a lot of the security apparatus, how many officers in a worst case event are going to go in to work? I mean, they'll have to shut the prison down, lock it down, but eventually they might lose control of the prison and you might have massive escapes of hardened criminals. If you live in an area where you have, prisons, holding facilities, penitentiaries, you need to find out where they are and see if your house or your property is on a natural line of drift. Are they just going to be walking past your house? This is important. Hopefully it never gets that bad. What will the guards do if they realize they can't feed these prisoners? Will some of them be released? Will the guards take it on themselves to put out some judge them there and be the final jury and executioner? I don't know. But I can see losing control of prisons. Right now, they don't have enough officers. And if things get worse, if the dollar is not worth anything, why would someone go risk their lives for worthless Federal Reserve notes? So you need to think about this where you're located. And if you're near a prison, what is your plan? If they had a prison break, a worst case prison break where they could not control and there was just a mass release, will they down the road, because the United States is definitely broke, if we have economic problems, will they decide, hey, we need to release 50% of the prisoners? We can only keep the worst of the worst of the worst. What is your plan for this? Can you secure your property? Releasing that many bad people onto the streets when there's probably less officers that will be on the street, because if there's less prison guards, there's probably going to be less police officers. So really it boils down to you are in charge of your personal safety. You are in charge of your family's security. So look at that. Look at, where your wife goes, where your husband goes, where your kids are. Are they in a safe spot now? Will that be a safe spot? What about schools? If things get progressively worse in this country, are you able to secure your children quickly from a bad situation? So I appreciate this correctional officer, sending me this information. I get more officers sending me things, and it's not getting better out there. It is getting worse. So you are in charge of your own security and protection. Thanks for watching.